block, a strong one. Aaron Rodgers
field and find out if Will Howard can play. If not, 27 is going to be a great quarterback draft. So let's move on. I understand we're all fascinated with Aaron Rodgers, the four-time MVP, and what he can do. But we just saw this last year. We saw a guy that does not want to get hit. We saw a guy that cannot carry a football team, but we're going to bring him back and ask him to do the same thing again. I get it. Now, some of what I'm saying is tongue-in-cheek, and we're having a little fun here. But let's just be real. If you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, do you honestly want to go through another season of Aaron Rodgers? He's a first-ballot Hall of Famer, I get it, but it's not about what he's done. What can he do going forward? And if you're head coach Mike McCarthy, and this is your new era, Aaron Rodgers does not need to be in it. Play Will Howard, and if that doesn't work, get ready to draft a quarterback in 27.
Look, I think in theory it sounds simple. Like if you could just say, hey, look, you know what? We're just going to move on from Aaron. We're just going to throw Will Howard out there. This is the Pittsburgh Steelers, though. They don't know what they have in Will Howard. They just don't know. And they're not really in the business of kind of like throwing seasons away and just saying, hey, look, you know, we're just going to trot Will Howard out there and we'll just let the chips fall where they may. Look, I agree with you. I think everyone who's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan is frustrated over the fact that they have not been able to find a long-term option. They've tried some things that haven't worked out, and that's why they're constantly, every year, it seems like at the forefront of the discussion about what is Pittsburgh's long-term plan at quarterback. I think this may be another one of those years where you're looking for you're going to be looking for a bridge quarterback, quite honestly. It's just going to be a matter of what kind of profile does he have. Is it a younger guy or is it Aaron Rodgers? Because I don't think what their options are right now outside of the draft do not lead you to, you know, the conclusion that they'll be able to find their long-term option in the veteran market. They're just not going to be able to find it, and I don't believe Will Howard is it either. That's why a guy like Ty Simpson has to be someone who's going to be talked about within that organization. Does he fit what Omar Khan said is a AFC North type quarterback? Look, that's for them to decide. But right now, look, I don't have any issue with them bringing him back. And I don't know what the 2027 draft is going to be like. We thought that last year that the 2026 draft was going to be loaded, and we see where we're sitting here now. So I don't like ever talking about that, well, it's next year that we can address quarterback. We don't know what it's going to look like then either.
Well, it just seems to me that they're just kicking the can down the road. I'm with you, Louis. I actually like the fact that he's going to be back. I just hope it doesn't last the entire offseason of drama and everything like that. Look, he got him to the playoffs. He didn't throw an interception in the last 7 regular season games, had a good touchdown to interception ratio. But this is more of a Steelers franchise problem. Since Big Ben, they have not gotten the quarterback position right whatsoever. You look at Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, multiple others, Justin Fields, and look, at least Aaron gives them a chance to be competitive. I know Steelers fans are out there probably saying like, well, we want to be competitive every year. We get to the playoffs and we lose every single year. Yeah, that's right, because Mike Tomlin, in my opinion, and that organization, they never drafted well at quarterback. They had one forever. They never fixed it. And I'm with you. Like, I don't know what the 2027 quarterback draft class is. That's why if you are drafting, you have to somehow figure out, do you like Ty Simpson? Is Ty Simpson available? 15 career starts. I'm with you completely, Louis. And Booger, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm with you. Like, it's like a drama, but also, like, to me, it's the best fit right now.
And it feels like deja vu all over again with the Steelers. You're good, but not good enough to get a quarterback that's sustainable. But at the same time, you're not bad enough to draft a quarterback early in the first round. You're in the teens or the 20s. And by the way, they picked 21 in April. Chicago yesterday, center Drew Dahlman informing the team he is retiring after just 5 seasons. The 27-year-old was Chicago's marquee free agent signing during the 2025 offseason when he inked a 3-year, $42 million contract with the Bears. Dahlman was a key player along an offensive line that ranked first in the NFL in pass block win rate, 5th in run block win rate last season. The Bears' investment along the offensive line really paid major dividends for quarterback Caleb Williams. As a rookie in 2024, you see that he was sacked a league-high 68 times, and then during his second season, that number dropped to just 24 sacks and a deep run. into the playoffs. For much more on this developing story, Bears reporter Courtney Cronin joining us in studio. What more can you tell us about this decision? 'Cause again, Dahlman's only 27.
Yeah, which is why it comes as such a surprise. I talked with some coaches on staff who found out yesterday that this was officially happening. There were some rumblings about this at the NFL Combine. Would he retire? Would there be any way to convince him to play another season? Because he did just sign that 3-year, $42 million free agent deal last year, and he was coming off the best year of his career. Made a Pro Bowl, played every single snap on offense, no health issues to speak of. So the question becomes why? And people I've talked to tell me that Drew Dahlman is somebody who thinks in black and white terms. And what does that mean? It means that he's looking at the long-term play here. He grew up in an NFL household. His father played for the San Francisco 49ers back in the 90s. He was a coach for the Atlanta Falcons. Drew has seen the effects that an NFL career can have on somebody. So at 27 years old, somebody who's known as a very cerebral person, a Stanford grad, kind of doing what another Stanford grad did a couple years ago. Andrew Luck is the first name that comes to mind there. So this is not something that was injury related or anything that had to do with the current time. This is Drew Dahlman thinking about his future, which of course creates a significant void along a position that became the team's strength after it had been its weakness for so many years.
So how does this team now, especially a week before the new league year, how do they plan to fill this position?
So free agency was all supposed to be about the pass rush.
Yeah.
Fixing the pass rush, using the cap space that they still have yet to create to go get a premier edge rusher to complement Montez Sweat. Now you have to replace 40% of your starting offensive line because it's not just Drew Dahlman we're talking about here. Left tackle, Ozzie Trapillo, is out for the majority of 2026. He had a patellar tendon injury that he suffered against the Green Bay Packers in the wild card round. So they have to go find a starting left tackle. They have to go find a starting center. So that complicates the pictures here because the center position, ever since the days of Roberto Garza and Olin Kreutz, that has been a revolving door in Chicago. And they thought for a long time that this would be the one position you don't have to worry about because of how durable and reliable Dahlman is. Now they go back to the drawing board. The trenches, all of them are what they're focusing on in free agency.
And you get that comfort, too, with Caleb Williams, and you saw the growth, that jump there in Ben Johnson's offense in year one. Courtney, thank you so much. Boog, let's get your thoughts here. How much do you see the absence of Dahlman impacting Williams?
Well, I think it's going to impact it a lot, Kel. First, let me just add to that. I think when you look at Drew Dahlman, let's not forget, not only did his dad play professional football, his dad had spinal surgery early in his career, and so maybe he's looking at the effects of that and how that may affect him making a smart decision. As far as Caleb Williams, understand the center-quarterback relationship, okay? Somebody's making the calls. Somebody's getting every offensive lineman lined up. That's usually the center of the quarterback. They're identifying the blitz. Is the blitzer coming from the left? Is the blitzer coming from the right? And on top of that, let's understand this, Kev. There is a close relationship because there is a man that's sticking both of his hands underneath your rear end for 3 hours every day in the offseason, during this season, in practice or whatever, and you got to get a comfort zone with that. And so if you are Caleb Williams, there is a comfort zone between you and the guy Drew Dahlman. I know it seems very minuscule, but until you try it, don't knock it. There has to be comfort. And so I think now he's got to go through an entire offseason of finding new comfort, who's going to make the calls, who's going to do all these different things. It's another added layer and another something to do for Caleb Williams in the offseason and a season we're looking for him to take the next step.
And that next step for him is more command of this offense. He's talked about it. It's being able to make the checks at the line of scrimmage and being able to know where he can change the protections. That starts with Drew Dahlman. And Caleb had a nickname for every single offensive lineman. I don't know if you guys are big Marvel people. He called them the Avengers. And the most important Avenger, arguably, is the Hulk because it's the brute strength and being tactical with that, but also he has the PhD level intellect from his human alter ego. That's Drew Dahlman. That's what the Bears are going to be missing here. So to find somebody who can mitigate the issues along the offensive line with some of the communication early on. That was what plagued the Bears weeks 1 through 4. A lot of pre-snap penalties, a lot of issues up front. Drew Dahlman and Caleb Williams, once they got their connection rolling, that was seamless. Starting over there for a young quarterback who's now going to be on his third center in 3 NFL seasons, that's a pretty significant task the Bears are going to have to handle this offseason.
And the key in this offense, too, going under center, something we didn't see his rookie season. Then you saw it in Ben Johnson's offense. I would imagine also that that when you talk about the Avengers, Caleb Williams is going to be Iron Man. Well, you know nothing about that. That's between Courtney and I, but I would imagine that he's Iron Man, okay?
He could be Spider-Man, too. I don't know if Spider-Man was an Avenger.
See, exactly.
Not to hold it
I just
against me.
proved my point right there. Right there, Courtney, thank you. Keep in mind, despite winning the division in 2025, DraftKings Sportsbook has Detroit and Green Bay ahead of Chicago to win the NFC North next season. All right, we got more news coming in on NFL Live, as we have from Jeremy Fowler. The Chargers plan to release guard Mekhi Becton in the coming days. Per a source, the move saves LA $9.7 million on the cap. Let's bring in our other guys here on the program, and that is Chase Daniel and Louis Riddick here. Chase, we know the Chargers O-line struggled all last season. How can this unit improve to help maximize this offense?
Well, they're going to need a lot of help. First of all, it's getting those two tackles back, Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt, which I think are the best tandem in the National Football League. Then you have to go and you have to secure some interior guys with a lot of grittiness, with a lot of toughness. The run game has to be way more dynamic under new offensive coordinator Mike McDaniel, which I believe it will be. Look, Justin Herbert got beat up so many times last year, and that offensive line was really, really bad. As a quarterback, you want those front three offensive linemen so you can step up into the pocket. We were able to see Justin Herbert use his legs more than he ever did last year. And look, I think that Justin Herbert, talent-wise, is a top 6 or 7 quarterback in the league, but he needs some help.
He took a beating, man, week after week after week. Lewis, on the other side of the ball, the Chargers, they didn't use the franchise tag on Odafe Oweh or Khalil Mack. You okay with that?
Mm-hmm. Well, they're awful thin. They're awful thin now on the edge. Now the only guy ability they have returning that they can count on is Tui Pelotu. And after that, there's really not anyone. And they have a new defensive coordinator. Jesse Minter leaves, goes to Baltimore. Chris O'Leary comes in, and he's sitting here going, hey, wait a minute. He's looking around going, I need some guys out here on the perimeter. They're not going to really get that help on the edge in veteran free agency. And a couple of those guys on your screen, like Arvell Reese, David Bailey, Reuben Bain Jr., they're going to be gone. But when you get down there in the range of Keldrick Falk, Zion Young, Cassius Howe from Texas A&M, T.J. Parker from Clemson. Those are the guys that you're going to be looking at, and then there's going to be then it's going to come down to the discussion of what's more important. You know, how are we going to prioritize this? Do we need to get an edge guy? Does that represent the best value pick for us at that position? Or are we going to need to go ahead and continue to fortify the interior of the offensive line, as Chase has mentioned? These are the discussions that all front offices have. The Chargers are right in the middle of it.
Critical offseason. The Chargers currently have the third most available cap space according to roster